Hello. So today I have an 8 sim tiny home. It's technically a small home according to the new guidelines from tiny living, but I'm gonna call it a tiny home because it's for 8 sims and it's pretty darn small. So I really enjoyed this one. It was meant to be like a nice little quick video, and I ended up spending 3.5 hours on it. Not that I'm really complaining because, again, I had so much fun. It's like not in a style that I would usually build. It's not what I'm used to. I was originally going to try and limit packs. You will see I definitely did not. So no surprises there because it's me. I think it's like the longest voiceover I've done in a while. So also, I've got to apologise, and you've got to feel a little bit empathetic for me if I just drift off and go on more tangents, because I currently have an ulcer on my tongue that really hurts when I talk, and I'm still ill, and I didn't go to university today because I just felt rubbish. So I sat and built this when I woke up after sleeping for 10 hours. So I'm feeling a little bit better, but not great. I finally got to use that university divider that I didn't get to use in my other tiny build. You'll see me play testing a bit throughout this. As far as I'm aware, everything works, except there's a TV I put in like the parents' room, and that doesn't work because why doesn't it work? I don't. The radio works, but they can't turn the TV on. I left it there because I thought it looked nice, but again, it doesn't work that well. So I basically built it with the idea of 2 teenagers, 2 children, 2 toddlers, and then the 2 parents. But you could also take 1 sim out and put in a pet if you wanted. I did consider doing that, but I decided it made it a bit more challenging if you have it as like actual sims. The toddler's bedroom could also be turned into like normal sized beds. And I do end up taking out those tiny living beds that are on the top floor, that are like single beds, because I don't know, I really like them, but I just don't get teenage vibes from them, or like kid vibes from them. I get very much like adult with a single bed, or like guest room or something. So I don't know, or like young adult first home. Or I don't know, just young adult living at home still, just not teenage or not children. And I just didn't, when I was like decorating, they just didn't really fit in, I didn't think anyway. So I ended up turning that room, I think, like black, although one of the bed frames is dark brown. I used the university beds for both. I really like using the university pack in conjunction with this, actually. I think it looks very nice. And yeah, I put that lamp in. Oh, I have just thought, I haven't changed the lights, so you won't see me change the lights in this because I always forget to do that, but I am gonna put in some different lights before I upload it to the gallery, so I guess that'll be a little surprise. I did remember a bin this time, so did well there. I didn't remember curtains, but it was deliberate. The reason I don't really put curtains in my build is because loads of the time they just end up clipping through the furniture. And the other reason is I like the light coming through. And in this build, while technically in real life you probably would want curtains, I thought Sims don't wake up when there's light coming through, and people don't like peep through the window, so I did mean to put a lamp on there. Oh no, I did put a lamp on there. Never mind, it ignored me. This is what I mean, my brain is going places today. Yeah, I made like a weird little desky thing. I don't know if it looks that good. I'd like it though. I just left like 2 blank shelves on there. I just like the idea of them having extra kind of storage space, but I didn't really want to clutter it up. Maybe I'll put a little bit of makeup debug clutter. I did use some clutter from debug. I used Simlicy. Sorry, I've been watching so much Simlicy and Evelyn Sims since this pack's come out. But Simlicy's made a few debug like downloadable rooms. They're like just a tile, and they're on her gallery, and she like basically filtered out the clutter that you can't use because the game basically just makes it disappear, which I have encountered, and it's very upsetting because there's some really cool bits that you want to use, but you can't because the game makes it disappear. But yeah, she's filtered that out and filtered out the stuff that spoils. And I use some of those, which you'll see later on. You'll see me download them and then put some of it in. And she also used like the tool mod to make hanging mugs. I put those in as well in the kitchen. I basically use all of that clutter in the kitchen, but again, I might go in and add a little bit of clutter on those shelves because I kind of forgot they existed, honestly. Because I started play testing and then I just went haywire, like my brain is just not here today. Yeah, so the only thing that's not functional as far as I'm aware is that TV. I'm pretty sure the other TV should work. I'm hoping it should work. If not, then that is the only other thing that isn't functional. It's just TVs, because I tested pretty much everything else. I tested like the sofas, the chairs. You'll see me do that. I haven't tested the kids' beds, but I don't see why there would be an issue with them. I tested the adult beds. Don't know how to get my sim to scoot over all the time. She does it sometimes, she doesn't other times. I don't know how that works, but I mean, you could just have like one sim and a pet, as I said, like one adult with like 6 kids. I don't know. I really love how this turned out. I know I said it already, but I'm so in love with it. And I don't know, maybe I want to play in it. I'm not sure. I think I do. I haven't got a household with this many Sims, but I want to play in it. It's particularly the living room I love. You'll see me use those industrial like kitchen counters. I think they're called like the vault kitchen counters. So I've never used these counters before until last week when I started making like my dream house, and I put them in there. And now they're in this one, and that's probably going to be my next build video, so I guess you're going to be seeing me use them a lot. And I think they're my new obsession, because I think I used to think they were ugly, but when I actually saw them in a build, I was like, oh, they're so nice. So they're in here and in my dream house, which I hopefully will get finished tonight, and that will be my next build. And I might even put the tiny living sofas in my dream house because I really like them. And there is not enough sofas in this game. That's my number one complaint, other than the fact that I want more swatches, particularly like the swatches that match. My other complaint is sofas, because there's a few sofas in the game that I really like, but they're either like I use the same swatches over and over again because they need more swatches, because they're either like really out there kind of colours that you can only use with very specific other furniture, or they're just colours I don't really like. And then the other ones that I like the other sofas, just don't look comfortable. And we really need like decorative pillows. And I started trying to use that trick, you know, where you do the chairs. But like ultimately, it's just not ideal. Like we should just have some decorative pillows, because custom content makers can do it. So I don't see why we can't just have them in the game. I know they look a bit bad when your Sims like clip through them, but like it's your choice to use them then, if that makes sense. And like if the Sims team just included a couple, or yeah, just a couple, and then we have the choice to use them if we care that our Sims are going to clip through, it would just be quite nice. I think there's a lot of builders who play this game, and maybe if you play like you're more into the gameplay, then it wouldn't be as much interest to you. But I think there's enough builders that would be interested in that. And I don't know, maybe even enough people who don't mind through gameplay. Because I was never really that into building till recently. I was always more into gameplay, and it never bothered me having them clip through, because I still like to like have a nice house that fit my Sims, and clutter's like my number one thing. I love it when they've added more clutter to game. And also like the custom content that I'm having a hard time getting rid of is predominantly clutter. And I actually might put all my build by custom content back in my game again tonight and go through it again and see what I can get rid of, because I actually have like barely anything in there at the moment because I've moved it all to my desktop. And I'm like, am I really noticing any different? Like, is this affecting me? And I feel like it's not. Like, there are things that I like using, but once I kind of don't use them for a little while, it doesn't seem as big of a deal. Again, one of the things I mainly used was custom content sofas and clutter, because you can never have enough clutter, and there is some really good custom content clutter. And sofas I've already moaned about. So I keep using that bath. That's another thing you're going to see me use loads. I'm just really in love with it. There's not a lot of baths that I like in this game, or love, I would say. There's like, most of them are just fine, but I love that one. It's from Seasons. I think it's gorgeous. I just love the whole aesthetic of Seasons. I don't know. There's just been so many nice things made recently. I'm trying to think what. So I love those clear chairs. I can't remember what pack they're from. They're not from a new one. I love that glass table. Not the one I'm putting down. That one's fine too. That's base game. But the one that's the dining table, that's from Get Famous. Also, it wasn't until recently, like I think university, that I realised you can put like laptops and computers on desks, like on dining tables, and that's great. That is so handy. It means I've put in another computer. Just as an FYI, the kids have got a laptop to share each, and then I put a laptop in the living room as well. So there's 3 laptops in the house. I went to put shelves in. I decided not to put them in because A, they block the window, and B, it's a tiny home. And while I think in real life you would want more storage, in the game you don't need it. And I think it just made the house feel more closed off. I put in quite a lot of plants because when do I not? Yeah, so I just preferred it without the cupboards. So there's no cupboards. It stays like that. I do put stuff on the wall though. There's something about this build that I really like that's like quite nice and airy about it, as well as it being obviously cluttered because it's quite small. And I do go in and add clutter and stuff, and you'll see me play testing for a little while because this is the part where I figure out that chair is causing me some issues. And I figure it out so that she can get into the sofa, but then I have an issue because I think I put in like a not a dishwasher, what do you call it? The only thing I don't like is that I put in here a laundry basket because I usually do use laundry, but there wasn't really any room, so I just kind of put it in front of the divider. And while it kind of makes sense, it kind of looks a bit out of place. Also, I've used that towel rail in both or like 3 of my last builds. I just like it a lot more than the others, and it just matches really well, especially in this kind of build. Yeah, so what I was saying is I put in like a washing machine because I thought I would rather put it in and then you can take it out if you want, than not put it in and then you'll struggle to find space for it kind of thing. So no, I don't really like how the laundry basket is there, but again, I thought it's best to put it in and then you can take it out if you want. I don't know, maybe let me know if you prefer to have builds with laundry or without. I don't really know how many people have that pack because personally I'm not interested in like the gameplay aspects. Like, I always put laundry in my houses, but it's just more of a habit than anything else. But I do love all the furniture, so I don't know how many people really bought that pack for furniture or, like, actual gameplay. So, yeah, if you can let me know if you actually use it, and then I can kind of tailor my builds a bit more if you don't, because I guess there would have been extra space, but I do manage to fit it in, and I do manage to make it functional. I do so by putting the puff things under, what are they called, puffs? I don't know what you call them. The little knitted table things that should be seats. I put them under the TV console, and I love having accent tables that we can actually use, like console tables. It's brilliant. This is where I add loads of clutter onto that shelf. I love that shelf. It's from Jungle Adventure. And I don't know, I love loads of the stuff in Jungle Adventure as well. That's another pack that I didn't really play with that much. It was quite fun at first, but like obviously a lot of those packs you kind of play a couple of times or once through and you're like, okay, well, I've done that now. But the furniture that came with it, I think that might have been like the time when I first started being interested in actually building things, because I don't know, you just had some really nice items and I love that shelf. My only issue with that shelf is nothing just automatically goes to the middle or the bottom one, and that is sometimes a little bit annoying because I didn't want to have to clutter the entire thing. Sometimes when I'm like, I don't know, when I spend like loads and loads of time and I just feel in the mood basically, I will clutter up stuff loads, but I just wasn't feeling it today. Like, I just wasn't feeling it, but then I kind of got a bit more into the mood, and this is where I download some of Simless's clutter items. You'll see me place them. They're from Debug, and I use her mug tree thing. You'll see me decide, yeah, I did clip it out, but basically what I ended up doing was placing it into the wall, which I think is what you're meant to do, and then just dragged my wall so it covered it and it kept the mugs there, and it was very handy. And then, yeah, I just placed a load of the clutter mugs on the bottom shelf and a jug. And, oh, I love those glass bottles that she's got on the top shelf. I put them next to the fridge on the counter. They look really nice. And I did debate putting the fridge where the oven is and the oven where the fridge is, basically swapping them around as the window's there and the fridge kind of blocks the view. However, it just doesn't fit as well because the fridge is narrower than the oven. That is actually one thing I haven't play tested, is the oven and the sink and the fridge. So I will go in and do that before I upload it to the gallery. So if there's any alterations on that, you know why. But yeah, basically I did kind of want it that way round, but I don't know, it just didn't look as nice to me, even though the fridge is blocking the window, and I usually avoid stuff like that, which is another reason I didn't put in cupboards. But it just, again, didn't look as nice to me. It didn't look like it fit in as well. And the other main issue I came across was the oven is wider, therefore I had to move along the counter, therefore I would have to move all the clutter, and that's really annoying. And then the other issue would be that I probably would have to move that glass table and make it back into a one square one, like I tried with the washing machine. And then I just had a weird empty space, so I'd probably end up with just putting more plants in. And this house probably didn't need more plants, so yeah. I don't know if I mentioned, I don't think I did, but this is actually in like a shipping container. That's what makes it very, very different from what I would usually use, because I just don't build this sort of house. I usually just build like suburban houses, or like I'll look up things on Pinterest and build kind of like English cottages, and not thatched roof ones, just like cottagey type houses, and also like Victorian, Edwardian English houses. I build like a lot of, because I usually look at like Pinterest references, at least for the outside. So I generally build a lot of like Englishy houses, because they're kind of what I'm familiar with, because I live in England and Scotland, but I'm not very familiar with kind of American houses that much. That did not make sense. Technically, this is not another room, and I originally, I think, went to cheat it, but actually I didn't need to, because where I put the stairs up there, it didn't make it as a new room. I did cheat. I put a little border around the top roof and that bit that doesn't have any fence, and I did technically cheat that, but I don't use it for anything, so I don't think it's really cheating. It's just I didn't want it to think it was a room, basically, because, again, I wasn't using it. But everything else fits within the lot requirements, and yeah, so while technically I put more furniture on that deck, it doesn't register as that as a room because of the staircase. And I really like that external staircase idea. Like, I've never really used that before. Again, like this shipping container thing. I give it kind of like wooden walls on the inside, and I just leave them all like that because I quite like just the white walls. The bottom one I use like the corrugated metal from, I think it's Strangerville. On the top one, I wanted like a bit more colour, so I used like the same walls that I've got on the inside, but in blue. Technically they're wood, but there wasn't really any other colourful like metals at all. I did debate having grey, but it's just too dull. I know everything else that's like quite neutral toned, very much like wood and black and industrial, but it just didn't fit. Also, part of me is like, this is kind of my dream house, like not in a container, but the aesthetic. Like, I didn't realise how much I like kind of little industrial things till I started watching some YouTubers, and Best Dressed Ashley, she made like a shelf, or like, I think she stained the wood of a shelf that she had, and it was like piped, and oh, gorgeous. I want it. It's fine though, because I will not be moving out anytime soon. I have started saving to move out though, but you know, that'll be in like hopefully about 5 years time, because me and my boyfriend want to buy, and we're both in university still, so that's just not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, hopefully one day. I did buy baubles for our future house. The context being, I'm way too overly excited and over-prepared for anything. And the other context is I started working at a garden centre, and I get discount, and then they had 50% off on baubles. Well, 50% off on all the Christmas stuff. And there was a few really nice baubles that I liked. And I was like, can I buy them and stay there for my future house? Yeah, I can do that. So I got a load of baubles. So we might not ever have any furniture when we move in, but we will have baubles and no Christmas tree to put on. So they're really pretty though. They're like, I got some pink ones and some blue ones and some silver ones. So that's apparently going to be the aesthetic. I put in a little like driveway kind of thing. I put 2 cars because I like the pickup truck one more, but the other one I thought was realistic if they're taking like the whole family out. So yeah, I do actually remove a bit of fence so they fit in better. And I don't know how I feel about the drive really, but I couldn't really think of another way to do it. I thought it'd look weird if it was just there. And I don't do that much to the garden, but I give it a fence this time because my last 2 haven't had fences. I kind of make a little pathway, and I just leave like that swing set and the monkey bars in, and just put some trees. That's really about all I do to the garden. It took a little bit longer than it looks like it took me really, but yeah, as I said, this build was meant to be quick, and I ended up spending 3.5 hours on it, which seems quite a long time for how big this build is. But again, I really, really like how it turned out. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I spent all that extra time on it that I was planning to. And I think if I ever finish doing my save, I might put this in there. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I might even put it in San Myshuno. I'm not sure. But I really like this build a lot, so I feel like I would have to put it in. And you just saw me like doing the cheap thing to put on, what do you call it, to put the lining around the roofs. And I just put some nice little lights I think look a bit industrial, because I've got into a pattern where I like having lights outside now, so that's my thing. Apparently I remembered to do that but not change all the internal lights from the subtle saucer, but sorry about that. I'll go in and change that before I upload it to the gallery. The video is about to end, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.